Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
My name is Brenda. Welcome to Horrifying History, where you will hear about the unexplained and supernatural events that have stained the pages of history. One of the most important figures in Texas history never stepped foot in this American state. In fact, she was never in the United States at all. So grab your rosary beads, my spooky friends. Today, you will hear the story of a woman who spread the gospel in a place that she had never been to. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, I started to have a recurring dream. It always began the same way. I would be lying in bed and would feel the desire to take a trip. Then, just like that, I would look down and see my sleeping form. I turned to my bedroom window and then flew out of it. I would look around my parents' farm and then fly to the barn to see all the animals before I left. This is where the dreams differed. I would have a place in mind, and then I started to fly at an amazing speed. I would see the land below me in a blur. Forests, hills, and homes passed under me. Then I would stop and be in a completely different spot. It was a place that I thought about, and I would spend some time there before I felt a pull to go home. And just like that, I would wake up in bed. My spooky friends, if you believe the skeptics, this was just a dream. If you're a believer, then this was an out-of-body experience or bilocation. Before I tell you our story today, you need to understand the phenomenon that made a nun famous. Bilocation comes from the Latin words for two places. It refers to an alleged paranormal ability for a person to appear in two separate locations at the same time. Throughout history, stories of bilocation appear in different cultures all over the world. In the Catholic tradition, saints and mystics were sometimes said to have possessed this ability in times of intensive prayer or spiritual elation. In some shaman traditions, spiritual leaders claimed that they could travel vast distances while their physical bodies remained motionless. Even in modern supernatural reports, people speak of doubles, which are apparitions and phantom encounters that eerily resemble bilocation. But the Catholic Church has historically treated these claims very carefully. Most are considered to be fraud, but a tiny handful, like today's story, remains unexplained. An out-of-body experience is a little bit different. This is when a person sees the world from a location outside their body. Sometimes it's when a person sees their own doppelganger, but it's mostly used when individuals are performing spirit walking. OBEs, as they are called, have been induced by sensory deprivation, brain injuries, near-death experiences, drugs, sleep disorders, and for some, dreaming. About 1 out of 10 people have experienced this, but there haven't been any studies that can, without a doubt, prove or disprove this is actually a thing. But the case we're going to talk about today is unique. That is because unlike other cases of bilocation or OBEs, this case has something that the other cases do not. Witnesses. Most cases involve a single witness or private visions. In the case of Mary of Jesus of Agreda, she appeared to entire communities, missionaries, governmental officials, different indigenous groups, and church investigators. To believers, her story is a miracle. To skeptics, it is impossible, and to historians, it's one of the strangest mysteries of the colonial world. Picture this, my spooky friends. It's the early 1600s in what is now known as New Mexico and Texas in the United States. Spanish missionaries are pushing northward into lands they don't understand. They are exhausted and isolated. Around them are indigenous nations that lived on this land for countless years. They are rich in spiritual traditions and have a deep knowledge of the land. Then, something strange happens. Missionaries encounter indigenous people who already know about Christianity before any Europeans arrived. They speak of a woman who appears out of nowhere dressed in blue. She speaks to them in their language and teaches them prayers. She then vanishes as suddenly as she came. Sounds miraculous? Well, to understand these events, we need to understand Spain during the early 1600s. During this time, the world was dominated by empires, religion, fear, and transformation. The Spanish Empire was at its peak of global power. Gold and silver poured into Europe after being pillaged in the Americas. The Catholic religion shaped nearly every aspect of daily life. Visions, prophecies, miracles, and supernatural experiences were all taken very seriously. This was also the time of the Inquisition, which was a network of tribunals established by the Church and European monarchs to find, investigate, and prosecute heresy. The Spanish Inquisition was run by the Spanish monarchy, and it focused on those suspected of secretly practicing their own original faiths after being forced to convert to the Catholic faith. This was an era which having visions could make you a religious superstar or get you accused of heresy, which most often resulted in death. Mary of Jesus of Agreda was born on April 2, 1602. Her parents, Francisco and Catalina, had 11 children together, with only 4 surviving to adulthood. They all lived in Agreda, in the Spanish province of Soria. The family had a very close relationship with the Franciscan friars of St. Julian, who lived on a compound on the outskirts of town. Maria's family was deeply religious. Catalina would often go to the friary with her children for Mass and confession, or the friars would visit the family home since the family were wealthy and respected. As time passed, Mary's parents became consumed with spirituality and religious devotion. She would later say that as a young child, her parents pushed their beliefs and were very hard on her. Mary reportedly showed signs of intense devotion early in life. Stories claimed that she prayed constantly and longed to dedicate herself to God. It is said that she took a vow of chastity at the age of 8. Even as a young girl, she had visions in which she believed God was instructing her about sin in our world. At the age of 4, Mary went through confirmation with her local bishop, who was impressed with her in-depth spiritual knowledge. This type of narrative was extremely common in the biographies of saints from these times. Historically, writers often portrayed future mystics as strongly spiritual from childhood. Because of this, historians debate how much of what we know about Mary's early life was factual and how much it was later shaped by those promoting her religious legacy. There is no doubt that she was raised in a strongly spiritual household. When Mary was 12, she decided that she wanted to enter a convent. Her parents supported this. When her parents were preparing for the trip to accompany Mary to her chosen convent, her mother, Catalina, had a vision that she had to convert the family home into a monastery. She and her daughters were to commit their lives to be nuns. As you can imagine, Mary thought this was great, but her father did not. Mary's father Francisco refused to let this happen. He, along with his family and neighbors, considered this move a violation of Catalina's and Francisco's wedding vows. Francisco said a hard no for the next 3 years. He changed his mind in 1618 when he and his brother decided to enter the Franciscan Friary of Sant Antonio as members of their flock. By that time, Mary's brothers had already become friars and Catholic priests. When Francisco joined the order, Catalina and Mary entered the convent together in January of the following year. After this, the entire family made the radical decision to transform their home into a convent. Imagine this, my spooky friends. One day, your family's living a normal upper-class life, and the next, your father joins a monastery and your mother becomes a nun. Your bedroom becomes part of a religious institution, and you spend the rest of your life behind the walls of the convent. In a nutshell, this is exactly what happened. After becoming nuns, Catalina and her daughters converted the family home into the Monastery of the Immaculate Conception, which was part of the Order of the Immaculate Conception. Since there were no other branches of the order nearby, 3 nuns from another branch came in to act as Mother Superior and train Catalina and her girls in the life of their order. At only 16 years old, Mary, her mother, and sister became nuns in the Convent of Immaculate Conception. This is when Mary took the name by which she is now known. After Mary became a nun in 1620, she began to experience a period of illness before her mother passed away. After her mother's death, the now 25-year-old Mary was elected by her fellow nuns to be Mother Superior. Even though the rules stated that a new Mother Superior would be elected every 3 years, Mary remained in charge of the convent until her death. For her entire life, Mary would often internally pray. This type of prayer was often practiced by women and was closely watched by inquisitors. The reason was that these experiences led her to have religious ecstasy. Her world was one of silence, prayer, fasting, and isolation from the world. For many, they believed that mystics like Mary needed this to help open one's soul to divine experiences, and supposedly, Mary did. Mary started reporting extraordinary visions. She claimed that angels were appearing to her and that she had conversations with the Virgin Mary. She said that she also witnessed heaven. When people witnessed her in prayer, they described that Mary would enter a trance-like state while praying. Some said that she would levitate. Others claimed that she would glow with a supernatural light. Mary claimed that during her prayers, she was transported to distant lands on the other side of the ocean. She was not using any metaphors or symbolism, my spooky friends. She claimed that her spirit traveled to the Americas, which was lands that she'd never seen before. She said that she interacted with people that she'd never met in missions that did not yet exist. Between 1620 and 1623, Mary reported that she was often transported with the assistance of angels to settlements of people that were called the Humanos.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
The Humanos were the indigenous people who lived in western Texas, New Mexico, and northern Mexico. Spanish explorers had their first encounters with them in 1581. They were known for extensive trade networks and for interacting with multiple indigenous nations. Historians believe that the Humanos disappeared in the 1750s due to Europeans bringing infectious diseases to which they had no immunity, being forced into the slave trade, and warring with other indigenous groups. Any that were left eventually merged with the Apache or Comanche people. In the 1620s and 1630s, Spanish missionaries were attempting to expand their religion deeper into these regions, but many of these areas were largely unexplored by Europeans. But then, something strange started to happen. Franciscan missionaries started to report encounters with indigenous groups asking them to be baptized. They were already familiar with Christian teachings, crosses, prayer, and religious symbols. They claimed that a mystery woman in blue had appeared to them, and she taught them about Christianity. She urged for them to seek out priests and learn more. She would arrive out of nowhere and would disappear without a trace. Soon, reports of the Blue Lady became so widespread that Spanish authorities began officially documenting them. One of the key figures in this story was missionary Alonso de Benvedez, who was the custodian of New Mexico. Alonso traveled through New Mexico and documented missionary activities in this region. When he asked why the indigenous communities pushed to be baptized, they all claimed the same thing. They were visited by a lady in blue who told them to ask the missionaries for help. When Alonso showed the various indigenous communities a painting of a nun in a blue habit, they responded by saying the lady in blue was dressed like the picture, but she was a beautiful young girl. The indigenous people who saw her claimed that she was surrounded by light. Some said she was carrying a cross. Others claimed she taught them Christian practices. She allegedly spoke to them in their own languages, which the Europeans didn't speak. Alonso was fascinated by this. He traveled back to Spain to investigate and heard about various reports of Mary's alleged trips to the New World. The Inquisition also heard them, but they didn't go after Mary like they had everyone else. It is believed that this was due to her long-time relationship with the Spanish king. Alonso started interviewing those who knew Mary. He found that she was sincere, cheerful, humble, and kind. She was a vegetarian and would only sleep a few hours on a board and then spend the rest of her night in prayer and doing exercises of devotion. She would pray the way of the cross every night and carried a heavy cross wherever she went. She happily did what her superiors asked of her, and she was so wise, they said, that bishops and even the King of Spain went to her for advice. When she spoke about her beliefs, she would energize those around her with her love for God. Allegedly, Mary experienced many ecstasies when she had visions. In one, she claimed she saw the entire earth, the small number of people who believed in God, and the large number who did not. God then revealed to her that the people in current Texas and New Mexico area were the most inclined to receive His mercy. Her desire to help them, her prayers, and her sacrifices resulted in Mary being able to bilocate. Between the years of 1621 and 1631, when Mary was between the ages of 19 to 29 years old, she bilocated over 500 times. It would happen while she prayed. Her body remained in the convent in Spain, but at the same time, she'd find herself in North America. She appeared to the indigenous people by flying through the sky and then landing to teach them about the Catholic faith. There were occasions that she was attacked, tortured, and left for dead, but she would return to her physical body unharmed. She would later reappear to the same indigenous groups who were shocked to see her alive, and this helped her convert them to become Catholic. Mary detailed her trips to her confessor, which included the location she went to, the people she encountered, and everything she experienced while teaching the indigenous people about God. That confessor told the Archbishop of Mexico City, and he sent a letter to Alonso asking him to investigate. After receiving the letter, 50 Jumenos people walked over 500 miles to where the missionary was staying. On arrival, they told the priests that they were told by the Lady in Blue to go there to be baptized. After 2 priests arrived at the missionary, the entire tribe was there waiting for him. They were carrying a large wooden cross that they decorated with flowers. Each person wanted to be baptized, including children. While this was happening, representatives from other tribes arrived, also saying that the Lady in Blue sent them too. But when asked, no one knew who the lady was. When the dust settled, over 10,000 baptisms took place. These priests told Alonso everything. He then wrote and delivered a report with his findings to the Archbishop of Mexico City before returning to Spain. He then visited the Superior General of the Franciscan Order, who told him who the Lady in Blue was. In April of 1631, Alonso met Mary and interviewed her about her experiences. She told him everything she experienced and was able to accurately describe the faces of the priests who had been part of the baptisms. She then described the missionary work being done in the New World and about the indigenous people that she tried to convert. Some believe that Mary could have been repeating what she heard about the missionaries in the New World, and that those from the church unconsciously shaped her testimony to fit their beliefs. But many thought that the details Mary gave was just too precise. To this day, the church has not claimed that Mary was fraudulent or that she was creating miracles, but her fame only grew. Mary decided to write books about her experiences, and the most famous is The Mystical City of God. It is an 8-book series that details her visions, which she claimed to have gotten from the Virgin Mary herself. These works describe the life of the Mother of Jesus in extraordinary detail. She also talks about the terrestrial and heavenly life, her relationship with the Blessed Virgin Mary, God, and the miracles performed by Jesus. The book goes into detail about her bilocation and advises how to become truly holy. It also tells about the Virgin Mary's marriage to Joseph, the birth and life of Jesus, and how she became the mother of the Catholic faith. Mary was ordered by her spiritual director to write her experiences for a book. When another took his place, he ordered her to burn it. Her final spiritual director supported her, and she wrote the manuscript for the 3rd time in 1655. According to supporters, the book was inspired by the divine, but to critics, it was dangerous mysticism. This controversial book was praised by some religious authorities, while others attempted to ban it. Even today, opinions about this work vary. At times, the Vatican investigated it, but regardless, Mary's writings spread through Europe as her reputation grew internationally. Stories of the Lady in Blue became legendary across Spanish colonies. Mary passed away on May 24, 1665. She allegedly died at the same time that the Holy Spirit was said to have descended upon the apostles. It didn't take long before alleged miracles started happening at her grave. 8 years after her death, steps started to be taken to make Mary a saint. Some things got in the way, though, including the Spanish Inquisition taking 14 years to investigate Mary's book, and the book at times being forbidden due to a mistranslation. But through all of this, Mary's body remains uncorrupt, even though she's been dead for over 400 years. In the Catholic and Eastern Orthodox teachings, an incorruptible is a holy person whose body does not decay after death. This is believed to be a sign of divine intervention, exceptional holiness, and points towards future body resurrection. This signifies that God has preserved the body from decay and sometimes leaves the body flexible and lifelike, even though it's not necessarily perfect. Today, Mary lies within the Church of Conceptionalists in Agreda. Because her body has remained mostly unchanged since her death, many believe that this is proof of the words she wrote must be true. In 1909, Mary's casket was opened for scientific examination. Another was performed in 1989, and it found that Mary's body had not deteriorated in the last 80 years. In 1673, Mary was granted the title of Servant of God after her death. In 2002, several different groups renewed their attempts to have Mary declared a saint. To this day, Mary has not received the recognition that many believers think she should have. Looking at this case from a paranormal perspective, the case of the Lady in Blue is fascinating. Unlike many ghost stories or supernatural legends, this one involves documentation from multiple sources, including letters, reports, church investigations, governmental records, and accounts from both Spain and the Americas. Today, paranormal researchers point to Mary's case as one of the strongest historical examples of bilocation and out-of-body experiences. Some theorize that consciousness can separate from the physical body under rare conditions. Others believe that this phenomena is a type of astral projection, or that altered states of consciousness may allow for some form of non-local awareness. Many religious believers are positive that Mary was transported by angels physically across the world and that God chose her to be a missionary without borders. Skeptics disagree with this. They believe that this story grew through exaggeration, and others suggest that missionaries used this story to strategically encourage the indigenous population to convert. Researchers point to a critical issue. Most of the surviving written accounts came from the church officials who believed in miracles, which made verification of this story very difficult. Even so, skeptics admit that something strange happened because the consistency of these stories across vast distances is difficult to ignore. So, what really happened? Did a cloistered nun somehow travel thousands of miles without leaving her convent? Were missionary reports exaggerated, or did Mary do something that science still cannot explain? Perhaps the answer lies between history and myth. The one thing we can say for sure is that Mary was a woman who became a legend without leaving her home, and centuries later, we're still trying to figure out how. Thank you for joining me today. What are your thoughts about the Lady in Blue? Was she leaving her home to travel to the Americas, or were the legends about her exaggerated? Let us know your thoughts on Facebook at Horrifying History, Instagram and Threads at Horrifying_history, X at Horrifying HIST1, or Blue Sky by searching for Horrifying History. If you haven't already done so, please remember to subscribe to our podcast. When you do, not only do you let more people know about our show, but you also download our next episode on its release day. It's a great way not to miss our next episode. The Dating Game Murderer, Rodney Alcada. To learn even more about Horrifying History, you should visit our website. When you're there, you'll find links to all of our social media and to our YouTube channel, which features not just our podcast episodes, but also additional history-based videos for your enjoyment. We also have a blog that's filled with spooky topics and episode updates to read up on. On top of this site is the home to our fan club, which offers excellent perks, like your own feed to listen to our show ad-free, access to new episodes a week early, and a new bonus episode each week. It's also the home to our store filled with spooky merchandise that you guys will love. For our fan club members, you will receive a permanent discount in our store for as long as you remain a fan club member. You can find all of this and more at horrifying-history-shop.fourthwall.com. Until next time, stay curious and stay haunted.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.
This one is for Hockeytown. For 9 years, we at the Grindline Podcast have been a go-to show for Detroit Red Wings fans who want more than just highlights. Think bar talk with a buddy who brought the receipts. Just a few guys who watch every single shift, pull every stat, and call their shots. Real game recaps, news breakdowns, advanced stats, and no sugarcoating on the team Detroit hockey fans love. Catch 2 episodes a week on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. Search the Grindline Podcast, like, and subscribe.